Thanks for joining us here on the Professional Edge. My name's Todd, tax attorney, CPA, and certified financial planner. This session, we're going to talk about when to plan. And think about that for a second. When to plan? Is it after the event has happened, or is it before something has taken place? Because, for example, we're planning to put money away for retirement, for that safe and secure retirement. That's when to plan. Now, it is to plan going forward, so that way when you go on vacation, you know exactly where you're going to stay, what flight you're going to take to your destination, have an idea on where you're going to go out to eat and the activities in which you're going to do. So it's easy to plan that vacation, but when do you plan your estate? Well, hopefully you plan your estate before you run out of time. And we all are not guaranteed tomorrow. So again, we just closed out the first quarter of 2021. If you had that New Year's resolution to get your estate plan done, why have you not taken that first step? So when is it time to plan? The time is now. So therefore, what you need to do is if you have not got your estate plan done, or it's done and it's a 20-year-old document, we've seen those before in our office, do go to our website at EMC Advisors, that is Echo Mary Charlie Advisors.com. And on the right-hand side, it's Ultimate Estate Plan Guide. And on the red button, just select that and put in your information, and we'll send that kit out to you. Again, how to unlock the Ultimate Estate Plan Guide. Again, that website is EMCadvisors.com. That is EMCadvisors.com. So when we say, when is it time to plan? Well, let's think about this. You have that condominium down along the Panhandle, and you're renting it out to tenants, especially this summer. There's a huge boom, and it's a wake-up call for individuals waiting to plan their vacation. There's going to be a high demand along the Panhandle, or in any place in Florida for that matter. So as a listener here on the Professional Edge, you definitely want to make that reservation now. So you got to get started planning early. So the same thing applies for your estate plan. When do you need to get that done? So turning back to having that rental property along the Panhandle, and it's in your individual name, you know that, or it's in your joint name with your spouse, and you have liability insurance, but we know bad things happen to good people, and that's where your policy of insurance may not be sufficient. So therefore, if something tragic happens, you will see the filing of a wrongful death action against you, because you are the owner of the property and you didn't maintain that property properly. So therefore, you're negligent. You're at fault. Easy to have that happen to you. Hopefully it doesn't, but when do you make that plan to isolate that liability from your other assets? Because if you're listening to the Professional Edge and you have that rental property, doesn't have to necessarily be a condominium, it could be a rental property here in Columbus, a great state of Georgia, or any other state that you're listening to this on a podcast, and you own that individually. Well, you have unlimited personal liability if something goes wrong and you are found to be negligent. So you could lose your house, you could lose your car, you could lose your brokerage account, your bank account. All that is exposure that is unnecessary in this time and age. So what do? When is the time to plan? Time to plan is now, before anything happens, just like your estate plan. Why don't you plan that now before you're in the hospital or before you pass away? Because once you pass away, you can't set up your estate plan. The state is going to set up your estate plan. So going back to that rental property on the unlimited personal liability, that scares me to death. Being a tax attorney, I understand where these personal injury lawyers come in, and a wrongful death is actually a personal injury. So we're going to make a claim against you, and about 3 minutes into the deposition, they're going to say, okay, could I show you Exhibit A, and that is a warranty deed to the property that is the rental property in which my client suffered injury at. And could you read the first line? And you read that first line, and it's you and your spouse being the owner of that. No further questions. Then I would say, how much is in your bank account? What is your house worth? Let me see the title to that house. Let me see your brokerage account. Let me see the title on your brokerage account. So you expose all of your other personal assets. So if you're a real estate landlord owner and you have these properties in your individual name, it's a wake-up call to give our office a call at 877-654-9798. That number again, 877-654-9798, and set up the initial consultation to understand how you can limit this liability. And we basically put a fence, a liability fence, around each one of these rental properties. And therefore, you do not have this unlimited personal liability exposure. If you're operating this as a landowner, as a owner of rental property, then treat it like a real business. And again, when is the time to plan? The time to plan is now, before you need this liability protection in case something does happen. So again, the time to plan is now, when everything is going okay. If the accident happens, guess what? The cat is out of the bag. You cannot come back and put a liability fence around that property. That would be a fraudulent transfer. You can't immediately structure or asset protect things once things happen. So therefore, the time to plan is now, when everything's okay. Just like you listening and saying, hey, you know what? We did say that we were going to get our estate plan in order. And lo and behold, we're already 90 days into 2021, as quick as that seems. We've had the 1-year anniversary of COVID. That woke up some people to get their estate plan in force and effect. But then it doesn't seem as pressing anymore because we're getting the vaccine. But think about this. You could be on the interstate. Something wrong could happen. You could have a heart attack. And therefore, you have no plan in place if you've not planned your estate. So when is the time to plan? It's now. It's today. So again, if you're a real estate investor and you have rental property and you do not have these in a liability protection vehicle, then it's a wake-up call. And to structure that properly, do give our office a call at 877-654-9798. That number again, 877-654-9798. Love to have that conversation with you to protect what you've earned over the course of your career. And again, we see individuals that have a very successful business. They operate, and the business that they're in has some exposure on the liability side. And they say, we're good. We've been operating for 20 years. Well, it just takes one bad afternoon for things to go awry and have that 20 years of equity in that business and in the assets in which you own in your personal name to go the way of the dodo bird. So again, if you're operating your business and it's not structured properly, you may say, hey, you know what? I'm in a partnership. Me and my buddy, we started off our plumbing company, just us working together. And now we have 15 trucks, 30 employees, and we're doing $2.5–3 million a year in revenue. And you're still operating in this sort of archaic nature of your business structure. So again, if you've not sat down and actually planned things, and the new administration is definitely putting tax planning on the radar of our listeners here on the Professional Edge. So again, is there anything that you can do to structure things to plan to pay less income tax? Well, again, when is the time to plan? It's not now, because if you're planning your taxes for 2020, there's only really one true way to reduce your taxes now in 2021 for 2020 tax liability, and that is to fund a contributable Roth IRA. So, or not a Roth IRA, a regular IRA. Contributions to a Roth IRA is not going to move the needle on your taxes for 2020, But a contributory IRA, a regular IRA as we refer to it, that would reduce your tax liability for 2020 if we make that contribution even in 2021. So that time clock is also clicking or moving forward. So when is the time to plan your taxes for 2021? It's now. It's today. So again, if you've not sat down and actually planned your taxes or structured your business, and your business is far different in structure than what it was 10 to 15 years ago, we welcome the opportunity to sit down or even do a Zoom call in today's environment. And the way to do that and get started is give our office a call at 877-654-9798. That number again, 877-654-9798. So we're talking about liability protection. That's number one on rental property or even on your business. So back to the individual that has that plumbing company, multiple trucks running around. So that means there's multiple drivers driving on these highways. They are on their cell phone. If there's not a policy regarding cell phone use while in that vehicle and traveling, that's an easy layup for a personal injury attorney to get the company on the hook for that liability. It's distracted driving, same as a DUI. The elements are there. You have a duty to operate the motor vehicle in a safe and secure manner and not be a distracted driver. So they definitely will pull those cell phone records to see if there was an actual text message going on during that time right before the accident happened. So again, these are things that you have people take now. You plan in advance, not afterwards. So wouldn't it be prudent and smart to have a procedure to where your drivers are not allowed to have their cell phone turned on while they're going from point A to point B. When they get to the place, then they can start their cell phone. That's one way of doing that. That's liability. That makes a good thing that, here's our company policy. Wouldn't you like to be able to say that to the attorney who's trying to win his case? Well, we have a company policy that all our delivery drivers or our plumbers do not have their cell phone on when they're traveling from point A to point B. And that way there's no real way that we can text while we're driving, because it is our company policy that we do not allow the cell phone to be on going from A to B. But once they get to the destination, they stop, they can turn their cell phone back on. Man, that is a huge defense, and you don't even have to worry about the, quote, distracted driving. So again, that's another thing on when to plan, and it is to plan now while everything is going okay. We plan in advance. We don't want to be reactive. So when we plan, we are anticipating what's coming forth, and not everything that we anticipate coming forth to us is going to be a positive experience. We actually have to sit down and say, what are some bad things that can happen? And with those bad things that happen, what can we plan to avoid these? Well, that's why you have your homeowner's insurance. What bad things can happen? Well, your house could be hit by a severe thunderstorm, or it could something catch fire and your house burn to the ground. Those are the bad things that can happen, and you don't think twice about not having insurance on your home. So those are things that you need to plan for now, because insurance doesn't cover everything, and you want to isolate your liability to protect your other assets. So again, to have that conversation, give our office a call at 877-654-9798. That number again, 877-654-9798. My name's Todd, host here on The Professional Edge. I appreciate you listening in, and we're going to have more coming up on when to plan, and the time to plan is now. Again, thanks for listening to The Professional Edge. Take care.
We've all thought about it. Everyone listening will need one. Not having one can cause untold heartache, family conflict escalating to the point of a lawsuit. One simple thing that avoids all that: an effective estate plan. As a practicing tax attorney, Todd with Estate Management Counselors has completed over 1,000 estate plans during his 15 years of professional practice. He can help you implement an effective estate plan, coordinate your financial accounts, and make sure you have named the proper beneficiaries to maximize your tax savings. Call 877-654-9798 today and let tax attorney Todd help you implement an effective estate plan. Call 877-654-9798 today. As a tax attorney CPA for over 15 years, Todd has implemented over 1,000 individual estate plans. He has recently authored an especially helpful guide, How to Unlock the Ultimate Estate Plan. This guide has helped many individuals to understand the benefits of an estate plan and how to avoid unintended disasters. has made every attempt to write this in plain English. To receive this valuable guide, How to Unlock the Ultimate Estate Plan, call 1-877-654-9798 and request your complimentary copy today, or by emailing your request to info@emcadvisors.net.